Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's tutorial, I will be teaching us control structures in Python. In case you have not subscribed, kindly click on the subscribe button, like and share so that you can have access to more uh, greater content. Okay, so let's dive into the tutorial properly. Control structures actually helps to direct the flow in which the program is being executed. Uh, when a programmer writes a Python code, there is a particular task in which he wants this program to execute, and there's a need to give it direction as on the path to be executed and how to execute this task so that you can get the actual result. So this is where control structure comes in. So it's just like giving a pathway to the program that this is how to execute these instructions in order to achieve the final result. So when executing the program, there are some part of the program that needs to be executed only once, given that a particular condition is being satisfied, and there are some part that needs to be executed several times. It's called iteration, based on the fact that a particular condition is being satisfied. Control statements are used to implement these control structures, and control statements have two types, which are conditional statements and loops. There are also some keywords that are used, such as break, continue, and pass, to manage loop execution. So let's first start with conditional statements. Okay, this is an example of a program that shows how to use control statement. If you look at it, this is if condition, execute this block if the condition is true. This simple structure simply shows that if a particular condition is true, then a particular set of instructions should be executed. Then, if the first condition is false, then it moves to the next condition to check that if this particular condition is true or false, then it will execute the next line of code. But if the condition is false, it will move again to the next uh, line, which is else, in order to execute the final block of code. So it's a way of giving the program ability to check to know if a particular condition is true, then it will execute a particular set of instruction. And if it's false, it will move to the next condition. And it will do this continuously until the program terminates. At this point, let's have a look at some examples of conditional statements. This particular program helps to check temperature. That's based on the value that is being assigned to the temperature. So I already written the code, so I'll just execute it. So the name of the file is controlstructure.py. So to run this program, we have Python control structure.py. So the program requires me to enter a value. So let me enter a value that is greater than 30. Let's say 40. Enter. Then it gives me it's hot outside. So when you look at this program, this is the if condition here, and this is the condition um, assigned to it. If temperature is greater than 30, I want you to execute this statement. If you notice, there's a semicolon here. After this semicolon, whatever comes after it is the statement that will be executed. So if this uh, if this particular condition is false, then it will move to this next stage. This next condition now is saying elif. Elif is the shortened form of else if in other programs, but in Python is written as elif. Elif is to check the condition again. Is temperature greater than 20? If the temperature is greater than 20, it will execute this particular statement. But else, if it's not greater than 20, then it will execute the last part. This is how it works. You can have as many conditions as possible. All you just need to do is keep including elif, 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 and you keep going until when the program checks all the conditions and everything is false, then it will execute this last part. So let me give it another input again. So at this point, let me put in a value that is greater than 20 but less than 30. So let's say 25. So it execute it is warm outside. Then let me get a value that is not within these two range. So let me give it a value of 10. Then it gives it is cold outside. So this is how control conditional statement. This is how it works. Conditional statements also make use of comparison operators such as equal to, not equal to, greater than, less than. Um, they also make use of logical operators such as and, or, and not to create multiple conditions. It is possible to join two or more conditions together through the use of and, or not to create a compound condition. Uh, let's have a look at this example. This particular program takes in a particular age and it will be able to tell us if this age is a working age or a retirement age. Okay, take a look at this section. It says if 17 is less or equal to age and age is less or equal to 45, you have a working age. It simply means that we are combining two conditions together: 17 less or equal to age and age less or equal to 45. That means if your age is between 17 and 45, that means you have a working age. We can combine two conditions together with the use of and, or not to form a compound condition. We Instead of combining this way, we can also have another form of writing it, which is writing it this way: if 17 is less or equal to age less or equal to 45. If you notice, this particular one does not have and in it, but this and this are still the same thing. This type of conditions are referred to as compound conditions. Okay, so let's run the program and see how it works. So if I enter 25, it shows that you have a working age. That means the value of age I enter satisfies the first condition. So let me enter another value which will make this particular condition false, but this condition will be true. So let me look for a value, let's say 55. 55, the statement executed is you are of retirement age. So let me also enter another value that will make this condition false, but it will execute this particular statement. Let me put a value of 70. So this last condition is executed. So with this, we can understand how conditional statement works. Okay, let's move to loops. Loops are used to repeat a block of code multiple times to perform a particular action more than once. You can make use of a loop within the code to perform that action. So instead of writing that particular code like 5 times, you can actually write the code once and use a loop to repeat it 5 times. It's a more efficient way of writing program. And in Python, we have two keywords that are used to initiate loops, which is for and while. The for loop iterates over a sequence such as a list, a tuple, string, or even a range. So what it does is it processes each item in this sequence one by one, and making it perfect for a situation where the number of iteration is well defined. What it means is that when you have a specific number of iterations, that number of times you want a particular part of the code to be executed. For example, you want it to execute 5 times or 10 times, then it's very good to make use of a for loop. So this is a program that uses a for loop, and if you give it a closer look, you see that this is for I in range 1 to 11. What this program is simply doing is to print numbers from 1 to 11. So instead of me writing print 1, print 2, print 3 up to print 11, I only wrote this, that for I in range 1 to 11, means 1 to 11, this range we actually generate a sequence of number 1 to 11, and I, which is the iterator, will pick each of these value in that sequence, and it will use this print function here to print each value. So you can see that I wrote this now in lines of code, which will help us to loop through the sequence 1 to 11 and print all the values within the sequence. Okay, let's run the program and see the output. So I'll type Python to run the program now. The name of the file is control structure 2. So .py, enter. So you can see that it printed all the values 1 to 10. If you notice from the result, 11 was not printed. The way range works is that it will pick the start value, but it omits the last value. So if I want it to print up to 11, all I need to do is increase it by 1 and put 12. If I save it and I run it again, then CLS, and I run it again, then it's going to print up to 11. So it's just the way range works. So if I want it to print up to 12, then I will make it range from 1 to 13, then it will print up to 12. But for this one, 1 to 12 we print 1 to 11. Okay, let's look at another example. This particular program loops through a range of value from 1 to 11, and it will print out if the number is even number or odd number. So if you look at this line, for I in range 1 to 11, this is going to create a sequence of numbers 1 to 11. Then the second line has a conditional statement in it. If, saying that if this iterator divided by 2, that whichever number is picked within this range. So if the number is divided by 2 and the remainder, because modulo is used to get value of remainder, when you divide a particular number, whatever is remaining for that division is what modulo operator helps us to derive. So if a number is divided by 2 and the remainder is equal to 0, so that means that particular number is even number. But if it divides the value and the remainder is odd, that means the that particular number is an odd number. So for example, when it loops through it and it divides, let's say it picks 2 and divides by 2, the remainder of 2 divided by 2 is 0. So that's an even number. So let's run the code and see the result. So if you have a look at this, you see that 1 is odd because 1 divided by 2 will definitely will not give a remainder of 0. So it's an odd number. 2 divided by 2 will give a remainder of 0. That's an even number. And it did that up to 11. So from here we can see the use of a for loop, and we can also see the use of a conditional statement if and else in this program. Let's look at another example of a for loop. If you look at this program, this is a list that contains 4 items. You have apple, banana, mango, and guava. This is a list. This is how to um, create a list, and is assigned to this variable fruits. So with for loop, we have fruit as the iterator in fruits. So what this program is simply saying that the for loop should loop through this list and print out these 4 items. So instead of me printing out apple, banana as in one by one, I can just use for loop to loop through this list and print out all the 4 items. So let's run the program and see how it works. You can see all the 4 items in that list has been printed. Okay, let's move to while loop. While loop is used when the number of iterations depends on a dynamic condition. What that means is that for you to make use of while loop, you need to have a predefined condition that will keep executing until it becomes false. So the loop will terminate at the point where the condition becomes false. Else, the iteration will keep executing continuously until it gets to that point. Let's have a look at some examples. Let's have a look at the structure of a while loop. So first thing, you need to initialize the loop's variable. So that's the point in which the loop is going to start. Then you have the while condition. Then you have the condition. You have the statement that will be executed as long as that while condition is true. So after that, you now have another. You need to update the loop variable to a point where the condition will become false, so that the loop can end. So let's look at a proper example. Okay, let's take a look at this example. So this is I equals to 1. This particular program is to print numbers from 1 to 11. So just the way we have it for loop, this is for while loop. So this is this at this stage we initialize the loop variable as I starting from 1. So while I is less or equal to 11. So this condition is saying that as long as this loop variable is less or equal to 11, so execute this particular statement. So it will start from 1, 2, 3 up to 11, and it will keep printing the values. So on this part is where we update the loop variable. So when you update the loop variable, this just the way I explained in some of our previous tutorial, that this particular part is the same way as saying I is equal to I plus 1. So this is just a shortening form for I equals to I plus 1. So that means when this particular value is printed, if it prints 1, the second one will be 1 plus 1, which will be 2. The next value to be printed will be 2 plus 1, which will be 3. The next one will be 3 plus 1, which will be 4, until it gets to a point where it will now print 11 plus 1, which is equal to 12. So, and 12 is greater than 11. So at that point, this value or this particular condition becomes false. So at that point, the loop will end. So this is how while loop works. Okay, let's run this program and see how it works. So as you can see, it printed the value from 1 to 11. So at the point where the next value exceeded this condition, you can see that the loop ended. Okay, let's also look at this example. This program, we print numbers from 1 to 11 and state if it's even number or odd number, just the way we did for loop. But for this particular one, we just added the conditional statement to it. So we have the loop variable, which is starting from 1. We have the condition, which is the loop variable less or equal to 11, meaning the condition is going to generate values from 1 to 11. And with this if condition, it will divide each value generated by 2. And if the remainder is equal to 0, that means it's an even number. And if the remainder is not equal to 0, then that means it's an odd number. And this is the loop variable. This one keeps increasing. It keeps increasing the value until it becomes 11 plus 1, which is 12. And at that point, 12 does not satisfy this condition anymore. So that becomes false. Then the loop will end. Let's run the program and see the result. So when you run the program, you can see that 1 is odd, 2 is even, and it lists the number up to 11, which is odd, and the program terminates. For watching up to this point, everything we have discussed, try to practice, and the more you practice, you understand these things. In case you have any problem, leave comment, and I will attend to it and help you clarify it. I will also leave some websites down this video for references, so it will help you to understand the concept better. Thank you. Please like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye.